explain how an 18-year-old, I know you're 19 now, ends up, I'm going to say the arse end of Paris just because of where Racing is. Lovely spot, but you're doing really well. How have you found yourself in Paris?
Yeah, so under 18s at Sarries, then didn't want to sign a contract there, so signed a contract at Exeter where I thought it was a brilliant club for me to develop and everything. Then signed it, then a couple months later, I just get a phone call from my agent going, Stuart wants to have a meeting with you. I was like, because obviously I knew who he was, but like Stuart interested in me. Like, why would he be interested in me? I'm rubbish at rugby at the time. I wasn't good at them. He gave me the opportunity to go to Racing, and then this is where we are now.
Was it a culture shock playing in the top 14? Goody mentioned there that you played. I found it a culture shock, right? As a well-travelled human being, having done the rounds, like you went there at 18 years old, and we've seen with players, Junior, that it is hard to integrate. And maybe this is a twofold question because you're fluent in French as well. But how have you found playing in the top 14? Maybe because you're so young, it just is what it is, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it is what it is. But for me, it was like a massive shock. Like my first pro game against Steph Fonse at home was a massive shock. Like the intense, the physicality, the carrying, people running at you, like grown-ass men just running at you. It's like, oh, flipping out, these boys are big, eh? But you just get used to it over a period of time, and I just got used to it.
And the language part?
At Racing is mostly in English. Everyone speaks English, really. Like, you got Fijians, you got the Welsh, you got the English, you got the South Africans, you've got the Argentinas, Chilis, they all speak English. There's only some French people can't speak English, but they try to speak English. But
I love that.
And all the coaching staff speak English. So
the Chilis. He's got the Chilis are there.
Nice. Oh, talk to us about Racing then, because obviously it's been a tough season. You've made a decent impact there, but there's been a load of injuries, question marks around what's happened with certain players. Camille Schatz's left and Stuart Lancaster under a bit of pressure. But I think it's more so the injuries. Owen Farrell's come over and started the season reasonably well, then got injured. And how tough's it been for everyone, basically?
At the moment it's obviously tough with the results we're getting, everything, but we're trying to buy in as a group, as a new group, new coaches and everything. We're trying to buy in together. When it comes to games, obviously we're losing quite a lot of games where we didn't expect to be losing, but we're trying. We are working hard on the weekends and everything. But it's just once Owen comes back on the pitch, I think that's where it will tip everything off. Like, that's where we will go flying. So pretty buzzing to have him back soon.
Give us an insight into Owen. We've played with him. He divides opinion for many. I've read your article in the Rugby Pass thing that you did with Owen, and you spoke really highly of him. Just give the listeners, people who are really interested to hear how Owen Farrell's getting on and how he's working with youngsters coming through, the French aspect, an icon of English rugby.
No, Owen is an icon for me, as of course, like he was the ex-England captain, Sarries captain, everything, with the amount of caps he's had for club and international. But he helps everyone out, from the youngsters to the elders, like especially with me, because obviously I play a lot of rugby with him. He's mostly precise with me, and like my defense and my carrying and my scanning and everything, and the knowledge he gives me when we're on the pitch together is just through the roof. Like the comms and everything, it's just through the roof. Like playing with Owen, I love to play with him.
Is he speaking Chile or is he speaking RG?
Yeah, how's his French?
Nah,
bonjour, kid.
It's a bit of both. Like in meetings, he'll try to speak French and they go back to English. But he is one of those blokes who wants to actually learn French and speak French on a daily basis.
And how's the sort of banter between you and your brother? He's been over in France, doing pretty well, backs himself highly. I don't think you played against him yet, have you?
No, not yet. Well, there's a game coming up in about 5 weeks against Paul.
Yeah.
I want to get selected for that, and I've told him, you better get selected.
You're going to fill him in?
Oh, I'm going to fill him in. He knows that.
Oh, this is so cool. Matt, I've always been
you're my older brother, but I'm the little one, and I'm coming for you. Don't you worry.
Oh my word! Well, they always say that the younger brother's the harder one because he's been filled in all his life,
exactly
growing up.
that. Yeah, exactly that.
And now you're the bigger brother. But I've always been a fan of you, Kpoku boys. I say that, June. You know, I followed your journey.
Yeah.
Our agents are the same as well, so I've got a keen interest on your career. But with your brother as well, coached him in the academy, coming through, and he had something like there was power coming through, and like you talk about freak athletes in sport, you're a bit of a. Not an outlier, I suppose an outlier as a family because of the sheer size of you. The question is like, how is it for a young lad? You've got these opportunities in front of you. I know there's a load of Premiership clubs after you. You know, the checkbook's going to be there. In other sports, we're happy to talk about the finances and the money in the game. So I don't want you to be like guarded in this conversation because there'll be chats with Fabien Galtier for the French team. I know there's conversations going on with Steve Borthwick, but how is that as a 19-year-old man? I know you just want to concentrate on the here and now and just get better, but I know you're outspoken, but overwhelming, exciting, like where's your headspace in being Paul pillar to post?
It's very exciting. It's a privilege as well for a top international coach to come to you and be like, I really want you in your team. And that's like, wow. And I'm just 19. Like, there's so many older boys who's older than me and better than me maybe, and they haven't had that opportunity. So for me to have that is a privilege, and I want to go up and try and get into that squad. I've spoken to the French head coach. Yeah, we have conversations, but that's not where I'm at the moment. It's not playing for France at the moment. I want to play where I was born and where my whole family is and my friends and everything, so I can share that memory with them as well. Instead of playing for France where singing the Marseillaise is not really my thing, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's great to hear. And obviously playing for the 20s and winning the World Cup was a pretty big start towards that. And, you know, there's a fair few of you that sort of were put on the map, Henry Pollock at Northampton as well. And you know, you go back and you see some of the names and you start talking about cycles of World Cups, 27 World Cup. Are some of these lads going to come through and be part of that for England? And I'm talking the big World Cup now. How exciting is that to know that you guys are the next sort of layer of players coming through, that you're a big part of that? And, you know, you're a junior World Cup winner, but there's big things being said about you and thought about you and spoken about you. And that is something that you should be very proud of, but also exciting for the future as well.
No, I'm buzzing for what the future holds at the moment. I want to work on the stuff I need to work on to become a good rugby player for that 27 World Cup if I get selected or if I do come back to the UK to play my rugby. But I'm chuffed. I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah. What's the environment like in the under-20s? So back in the day, I remember Joe Lydon when I was English. Junior, I don't know if you remember that, but I was English back in the day. But I remember stood there having the photos taken. There were some wicked players that came through: Harry Ellis, James Simpson, Daniel, and there was a load of us on there. And Joe Lydon said, "Have a look around, lads, because only one or two of you will go on to make it at the highest level." And he was a little bit wrong with that group because there's about 4 or 5. Ollie Smith that went on to play for England as well. But the under-20s is different now because there is a clear pathway. Just give us an idea and give the young listeners an idea of like how good that setup is with Andy Trittrell, Nathan Catt, and that proper pathway program that you're in.
No, the pathway is really good. Like the boys in this year, they know what they're up for. Like we obviously did a job last year. And now they're Asher, Afo, Craigo, Finn. The list goes on. Like they're all gone. Now they've left the big spot where someone needs to fill their boots, and we could continue that journey. Because obviously the French are definitely going to come at us. The Ireland are definitely going to come at us for what we did to them in the World Cup and the Six Nations. So no, Tofty, obviously head coach of the under-20s, and Tits forwards coach. Tofty's helped me a lot. He's helped most of the boys here to become better rugby boys. Tits, same thing. He's now given me the opportunity to call in the lineouts where it's really scary. I hate calling in the lineouts, but he's given me that opportunity to grow as a rugby player and help the other boys learn as well as me learning how to call.
How long you signed at Racing for then? Let's get it out there.
27.
To 27, we can buy you out of that. Me and Jim will invest and buy you out of it. You've talked about wanting to come back to England. I've read it. You know, I've heard you say it. If you could pick a club, which one would it be? I know you've had history at Saracens, Exeter. There's some decent clubs knocking around. Who do you fancy?
Saracens. They drop the ball, Junior. Sarries, mate. You get back. You fit that North London vibe, that grit.
If I had the opportunity to go there, but I don't think they would want me.
You mean the Zeros?
Okay. They got too. They got too many people playing in my position.
How do you look at a club that this is actually, so just following on from Goody's question, and this is again a twofold question. Huh?
We didn't get an answer.
Yeah, I'm going to get an answer now because I want to see how these young lads coming through, and there's a great group of you coming through that are cut from a slightly different cloth. Like people listen to how you speak, you're confident, you got a bit of grit about you, the music, the fashion, the pop culture, all the things that rugby wants. There's a group of you coming through now. So how does someone like you in that group of players identify a club? Are you looking for tradition? Are you looking for innovation? Are you looking for training facilities? What are young athletes like you looking for?
Well, me personally, when I'm looking at a club, like I'll give you an example at Racing where they came about. I looked at the depth they've had in players. So I'm looking at who's in my position, how old they are they internationals? And then going to coaches, Stuart is there, Freddie Michalak is there, Dimitri's there, Joe is there. They're all internationals and now they're coaching. So for me to go to France was the best opportunity for me to go because I'm getting coached by internationals who've already been in my position. Well, I haven't been international, but who are international and now coaching at the highest level. And then players-wise, like Cameron Walker, Will Rollers, Towel, Ebel, then all international. So playing with internationals will make you push even more in training and the games and everything. So it was the best opportunity. And obviously at Exeter, yeah, they're good coaches, good players, but they're just not international, if that makes sense. So for me to go to Racing is for me to develop as a rugby player on and off the pitch. And I'm doing good so far, so it's worked.
Yeah, you are. Who do you fancy coming back to, if you did? If you could have a choice, like everyone has those kind of moments, don't they, where they think about, I'd love to have played for them. Or
don't say
in
it.
The here and now. You could
Don't
say
say
Saints, you could say Leicester, like different DNA. You could say Sarries, you could say Bristol.
Don't say Harlequins. I'm begging you.
But it's London-based as well.
Oh, I knew it. So he's already thinking about it. London's the good.
No, all Bath.
Bath would be cool.
Yeah.
Bit posh though. Too posh.
Yeah, it is too posh, but it's fine. I went to private school for 5 years, so it doesn't really matter.
Junior, just give me an idea. I've asked you, I'm going to ask you again. Just the incentive for you young lads to do well, retain the Six Nations world title. And then also, like, how do you see England as an international team? Because there is a feel amongst fans, and there's a lot of negativity around England, the middle class, tweed jacket, Land Rover driving, cool car, the defenders are cool. But that stereotype, for a young lad coming through, that incentive to do well this tournament and kick on, like, do you see England as the glitz and glamour as a young athlete? Like we hope that you see that.
Yeah, no. It's a bit of a hard one. Like, for me, I know what Steve is trying to do with his squad, as in give everyone the opportunity to play, for him to see who he can pick for the World Cup, because obviously that's everyone's goal. We want to win the next World Cup in 2027, and obviously it's not the best results he's obviously getting, but we all know the direction we're heading through. So the boys are not really getting frustrated, but they are getting obviously frustrated because we're losing like the last 5-10 minutes of the game. But for me, if I win this Six Nations and the World Cup, and then the following year they win it again, and then we go as a senior squad and win it again, that's just the best. Like, obviously having the likes of Afo, Asher, Pollock, Finn, me, Odemide, if Archie coming through and storming, trying to help that first team, if we all get the opportunity to play for the first team in the World Cup and Six Nations, of course, it will just be a dream come true, really, for obviously the fans and England.
Be keen to knock some old boys off the perch,
Yeah,
are you?
100%.
Who's on the hit list?
100%.
Who's on the hit list?
There's loads. There's my brother, Maritoje, Nick Ezekwe, those who play my position. So
you're coming after him all.
You know what? That's really cool that you say that. And this is what I'm a big fan of you, Junior. How is your persona perceived within the realms of, like, you're in England camp? We've obviously got you now. The under-20s is happening. Has anyone told you to dial it down or not?
No, not really. I can never change. I can never change who I am. It makes me really confident to go out there and try perform every time when I wear a Racing jersey or an England shirt. Obviously I speak to Mario and he knows how I am, and he will tell me if I'm doing something right or doing something wrong, and I'll try to tell him you're doing something wrong and you're doing something right. Do you know what I mean? So it's just having that relationship with the boys. So you're not trying to be how do you say, like a big-headed guy or something like that. It's just,
yeah, you're not being disrespectful. It's just you, isn't it? You're putting yourself out there. You're building a brand. I've been out with the NFL here and talking to Jordan Mailata, who plays in the NFL. It's basically a line, building a brand, your persona alongside the rugby. And that's a shift with you lads coming through, juniors. It's going to be a big shift for Steve. It's a big shift for the club coaches. But now we got left behind so much that everyone wants the type of players like you, and hopefully,
100%.
You fall on your sword, mate. If you don't deliver, you can go off and play in I don't know, for Loughborough. Be good, you'll have a good time, or Doncaster.
No, exactly that. No, exactly that. You need to back it up with your rugby, of course. When you're going to do something, you have to back up with your rugby on the pitch. So I try to do that week in, week out. Hopefully, I do.
There you go. Good man. Well, mate, we wish you all the best of luck for the Six Nations, starting off with Ireland on Thursday, the 30th of Jan. Big one to start off with. They'll be coming after you after that World Cup as well. So I'm sure you boys will smash it, and good luck to you. But I love it. It's like you said, I love what you're doing in terms of backing yourself. And he actually said your rugby's got to back it up, and that's what I intend to do. And you said, Jim, if all else fails, and I was going to say go and play for Scotland, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can, because that was like you when you were younger, full of it. English? No, I'm Scottish now.
We'll take it.
No, it's great to have him on. And do you know what? Some people will listen to that and go, he's got too much to say for a young kid. Some people are like, we aren't saying that, obviously, but some people think that. And that's the kind of attitude and mindset that we need to change and say, actually, how good is it to have someone young, confident, not arrogant, just confident, just backing himself. And you can create people and characters out of that as well, can't you? So,
do you know how I look at it, Goody? I look at it now. I'm going to watch that first game and see what it's all about. I know what he's all about. He's calling out Ireland, that he's going to do a job on them. And
he's actually Marrow as well at some point.
But he's putting his name to it. But that's what, he's calling out Marrow and Nick and all of these. But I want to see how he does. So when he goes up against these players, that's selling the game. So for me, he sold that Ireland game to me. Let's see what you got. Yeah,
And it's like what we said about Afo for Sogbon earlier in the season, and he sent you the voice notes. Like, how much is everyone looking forward to Gloucester playing against Bristol later 100%. In the season because he shushed up Genji. There you go. And he might get his arse handed to him, but
that's part of it.
Yeah, exactly that. So
good on him. Loved it.
We want these talking points. So good lads. Good luck to the 20s as well. Pod.
Rugby pod.